30 years have since passed, and while a whole lot has changed, the song remains the same. The Wolf still rocks.
Hey there, it's Brian Ellis, morning show host, 101.5 The Wolf, and we continue with our video series as we celebrate the Wolf's 30th birthday. We launched the Wolf on February 14th, 1992, and this guy was along with us for the ride. We say hello to Marty Silvestri, the White Beaver. Hey, Marty.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me. This is great. I cannot believe that the Wolf is already 30 years old. That's crazy.
It's insane, boy, it's been a lot of fun chatting with the various hosts and staff throughout this video series. Before we get to your time spent with us at the Wolf, let's go back to when the Wolf launched, February 14th, 92. We had a big party at a bar in Peterborough, in Peterborough's North End on Chemong Road called Casey's.
Yeah.
Now, you weren't there, but your brother was.
Yeah, so my brother Kevin, huge rock fan, right? And that's where I really got to love rock music, The Who and Pink Floyd. And I just remember him and some friends had gone to the kickoff party there. And because we lived kind of about 10 minutes away, you could see the spotlights flashing in the air. So me and my friends, we hopped on our bikes and we went over there and kind of just lurked around, and it was a little chilly, but we were able to see all the people coming and going, and it was quite the launch, that's for sure. I can't believe it was 30 years ago.
Well, and it's crazy that it went from that for you to a day when you joined the Wolf and were on air. When did you join us?
I think it was just before 2000 is when it was. And I remember I had reached out to you to do a co-op because we needed to do a co-op, but it was a lengthy one. It was a 12-week co-op, so that's a long time. So thankfully, you agreed, and I came on board. And I do remember one of the jobs you had, though, to keep me busy because I was there for so long.
Yeah.
And because there was no announcers on overnight, there were CDs that would shift back in the day. So everything had kind of gone computerized. But in this back storage room, there was these jukebox basically that had thousands of CDs. And I remember one day you just like, I know you're not going to like this job, Marty, but see that cabinet there? All these cases for all these CDs are right here, and you got to put them away.
Oh.
and you're just like, and I'm like, well, hey, you know what? It's a start. I'm in the station. Every so often you'd stick your head in, and then the sales staff and of course Carrie would come and check in on me or bring me a snack or something. So that was my first job that you made me do. But then it turned into some cool things and some on-air opportunities, which was awesome.
So talk about your on-air for those that don't know Marty Silvestri. And first, before we get to that, I understand, your nickname was the White Beaver, right?
Right.
Now I understand the white because of your hair, but where did the White Beaver come from?
So I used to work at a Camp Northern Lights, and we had CB handles. So, people would be, hey, this is Trucker Joe. And that's kind of how we talked to the staff. And I started using the White Beaver as my handle. And we were actually at a staff meeting at the Holiday Inn. It was the Wolf staff, and we were having some lunch there. And Fergie, who used to be the general manager back in the day, well, one of the waitresses, her name was Carla, was a counselor. And she's like, hey, do you guys know this guy's nickname's the White Beaver? Well, Fergie looks at me and he's like, how are you not using that on a rock station?
Yeah.
And that's how it was born. And to this day, I still get called the White Beaver, and I love it.
You know what? I don't think I've never been told that story. That's great. I've often wondered that, and I've never really asked you.
Yeah.
So take us back. Things that you did for us on air. What were sort of the shifts that you did?
So I kind of did some fill-in stuff. So when I first started, my very first shift, I was actually sitting in with Scott Haynes, and I got to crack the mic open doing the alternate route. So that was like huge. And I remember I was struggling a little bit, like getting a good demo put together. And I went on live, and the next day you and I sat down, and you were like, wow, that's what I've been looking for. So I was able to do the alternate route, which turned into some fill-in shifts over the summer as people were on holidays. And then, of course, getting the opportunity to host the All Request Saturday night, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I met so many people, not in person, but just was able to be a part of their party. And in fact, when I had moved over to Czechs, I was working full time over there. And one of the announcers, Craig Gear, actually left, and I came back just to keep the All Request going because I didn't want to see it die. I love that show, and I'm glad to see that it's still going. In fact, I still reach out to Kernsey when I'm at the trailer and want to hear a tune around the campfire.
That's great. Now, you also hosted mornings as well.
Yeah, what a cool opportunity that was. I got to work with TJ Connor, so we had a great show. TJ and the Beeve. We we got our hands slapped a few times with like to push the envelope a little bit, but it was such a fun time in my life. And again, being able to work a variety of shifts on the radio and just the connections. I still have people come up to me and say, "Oh man, when you said this," and it's awesome that you have that connection with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're celebrating the Wolf's 30th, and we're sort of chatting about memories. Is there something that sort of stands out for you? Before you give yours, for me, what stands out is the Peterborough Flood.
Right.
So tell that story.
So I was filling in for Jay Sharp, and you have to be there fairly early due to the morning show. And I was living with my parents at the time, and it was raining really bad. And I turn on to King Street, and I see all these people waving, and I'm like, oh, they're just
Hey,
4:30, 4:45 in the morning. And as I get closer to the station, I see that there's just so much water coming up from the creek, and I tried to turn into there was a back parking lot there downtown. And as I went to make the turn, my car stalled out and I floated backwards, bouncing off a parking meter and ended up at the corner. And when I walked around the back, it was myself, Alana Cameron, and John Badham. And it was, up to my knees to get into the station. And how we didn't get electrocuted, I have no idea.
It's like I know I've often thought that because here we are in the studio or in the building, and there was like water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is probably, after the fact, you think about it, you're like, whoa, I guess we probably shouldn't have been in there, but thankfully nobody was hurt. So that's the story that when I talk about the Peterborough Flood, I always think about that.
Yeah, what a great story, and so many memories just working with great staff there, and it was great to some of my memories. Like I had an opportunity to meet Tom Cheek when we used to do the Blue Jays games. A chance to meet Kerry Walker took me to a sound check for the Hip to be able to meet Gord Downey and to be able to meet Slash. So like those were like my fanboy moments, which was some of the perks of working in radio. So that was awesome as well.
So I know that you still live in Peterborough. You're a Peterborough guy. You live in town, and you got a family. Tell us about your family.
Yeah, so I have two kids, my daughter Sloan and my son Graydon. So they're 11 and 8, and my wife Nicole's a teacher in Lindsay. So yeah, I've stayed in Peterborough, which has been great. I love the city. My whole family's here, so it's been a blessing to be able to stay in the city. And we're into hockey and basketball, and obviously with the pandemic, things have been a little different. But we've still been able to play a lot of board games and drive each other nuts, as many families are.
Once again, it's the White Beaver, Marty Silvestri, as we look back at 30 years of the Wolf, celebrating our 30th birthday. And just before I let you go, Marty, I've talked with some of the other announcers about this, and I think we can all say that we have been really fortunate to be a part of something like the Wolf over 30 years, because the people that listened to us and listened to us were amazing. Just amazing. And it was so great, and it is continuing to be great to meet these people.
Yeah, and that's the best part when you're at a community event or, a Pete's game or a Lakers game, and people just tap you on the shoulder. And again, you've just been part of their memories. And, the Wolf's always been part of the community for 30 years. And I think, hopefully I'm around for the next 30th or for the 60th, I guess. maybe we can do it. Maybe my fence bar will still be there. We can come and have a drink and toast it from there.
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, I hope I'm not around for the 60th. As far as I want to be alive for the 60th, but if I'm still doing mornings in 30 years, I'll be like 60. No, I'll be 83.
Yeah. Never say never, Brian.
Wow. All right. Marty Silvestri, the White Beaver. Great talking with you. And thanks for sharing your memories.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Talk to you later, Brian.
All right, buddy.